There it is, Canes fans. That's Mario Cristobal's first run onto the field with a Miami Hurricanes football team. Yes, you can touch and feel your 2022 Canes now after a season-opening romp over Bethune-Cookman that served its purpose in giving Miami a complete dress rehearsal for the season, but also exposing a few things that need to be worked on.
Certainly things showed up in a positive way in terms of physicality and conditioning and execution, particularly the offensive side of the ball. And overall, thought we played relatively hard. Things that stand out that we have to work on that showed up in not such a positive light were, a couple penalties that need to be avoided, that we can't waste positive plays by having those penalties. Tackling was up and down. We had some good moments, bad moments, but third down, just pass rush, discipline, lanes, and contain. Things of that nature that allow for some big plays to bust out the door and sustain some of their drives, the things we got to get better at. First and goal, obviously we fumbled the ball there. That's inexcusable. We went under center, and that didn't work out with the new center. I should have done a better job coaching that, and a couple substitution errors. But aside from that, a lot of balance, some big plays on both sides of the ball to control the game early, and really proud of the second and third team guys that went in there and executed at a high level and sustained the momentum to close out the football game. So 1-0, some good things, stuff to work on, and looking forward to getting back to work.
As we begin a new edition of CaneSport Live tonight, let's first start with the good news. The Miami offense was absolutely spectacular, and that includes the first team, the second team, and to some degree, even the third team. Everybody lined up correctly. There were no sloppy penalties. The Miami offense was 7 for 7 on third down against Bethune-Cookman, had 586 total yards, and 305 of them were rushing yards. We know that Tyler Van Dyke can sling the rock all over the field. Now we know, at least against this level of competition, that Miami can ground and pound it as well. Running backs Henry Parrish and Thaddeus Franklin looked absolutely great in those roles. Parrish scored 3 touchdowns. Franklin scored 2. Quarterbacks Tyler Van Dyke and Jake Garcia were virtually perfect. Van Dyke logged a passer rating of 223.8, which was 4th best in all of college football. Garcia completed all 8 of his passes. The receivers caught everything thrown to them. There were no drops. The defense, on the other hand, had enough breakdowns in the game to cause angst amongst the fan base and, to some degree, the coaches. They returned to work this week on a mission to correct those issues. Against an offense that wasn't real good, this defense allowed 249 passing yards, and they had chunk plays given up in the passing game of 28, 34, 48, and 44 yards. There also was a 21-yard running play sprinkled in. But defensive coordinator Kevin Steele wasn't panicking.
I think probably one of the things that we can play a little tighter in our coverage. We're a little bit more used to being tight in our coverage, and there was some looseness in our coverage. Need to get our linebackers a little bit more comfortable in some of the calls that we have in terms of their drops and things. But that's the stuff to improve. Check. There were a ton of good things. I mean, we had, I think, 20 runs were called. They ran it for 25 yards. We do pro stats because you get no basis of real evaluation if a quarterback scrambled, which was not a good thing, by the way, because there's 68 yards of quarterback scramble. And that's, we got to get that taken care of, setting the edge in our rush. But that doesn't really tell you what your run defense is. And in college football, that goes on the run. Well, it's a pass call. It happens many times after the plays broke down in a pass call. So it doesn't tell you anything about run defense. The run defense was 20 call runs, 25 yards, 1.3 yards per carry, that's good fits on the runs. It's a pretty good job. Now it was skewed a little bit because we did have one. They popped one out there on us, and we had a block in the back. I think he would have made the tackle, but you never know. Should have made it, but he got blocked in the back. That would have probably been about a 10 or 12 yard run at most because we missed a tackle. So, but they can't count what they didn't get.
There's one other thing to take into consideration. There was minimal game planning that took place because there was not a lot of film available on the current Bethune team. Steele knows that the priority of this game was to play everybody.
You've heard what we've said about depth chart.
Yeah.
You have, and like I said, we could tear this thing up. It really could. I mean, they rotate. They deserve to play. Who plays the first play? You can flip a coin. And so I think it got a little bit more imbalanced than we wanted it to get because of rotation of drives.
Mm-hmm.
Probably need to do a little better job of it. It was not far off, but a little bit more balanced in terms of. But he's done a good job. He's got great attitude. The players are convinced of what I'm telling you. You know, it's one thing to say, okay, this is the first team guy and he plays every snap, and this guy goes in when we're way ahead or somebody's hurt. That's not the way we're built there. They know that. So, but he's played really, really good. But nobody's beat anybody out.
Gotcha.
And if they did, then you know what? We're going to go out there tomorrow and see if it can go the other way, because we're going to compete for the job every day, every way. And so nobody, and they understand this. I mean, it's about competing against our opponent, but it's also about making each other better. I work harder. You have to work harder.
Here's another thing to keep in mind. There were 17 different defensive linemen who saw action in that game, and each of them have different strengths and weaknesses. And Steele said that not really having a grasp of who was in the game from one play to the other all the time limited his ability to match his play calls to the personnel, something that will not be an issue in most games this season when you are going to see a much tighter rotation on the defensive line.
It was interesting, to say the least, when you're trying to call it, and sometimes you know what strengths and weaknesses or who's out there, and so you're trying to call it, so it makes it a little bit hard sometimes. I think we played 17 in all, and then 12, like you said, multiple snaps. It keeps them fresh. You know, there'll be games though where we have to get in sync, and it may be 6 out there. But I think it speaks well of those guys, of how they competed and earned playing time, because that was not given to them. That wasn't, hey, let's keep somebody happy and make sure he plays. So his mom didn't say, I drove all the way here to watch you play and you didn't get to play. You know, it wasn't that. I mean, we're going to play the guys that earned it. They earned it.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, and we welcome you once again to CaneSport Live. As always, this is your show. It'll be driven by your participation. The call-in number is 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the number 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. We once again ask the subscribers at CaneSport.com to post the topics and questions that they would like to hear on tonight's show, and we will address them tonight as we continue onward through the show. One other thing that we should talk about tonight is special teams. We saw in the FSU-LSU game on Sunday how special teams can impact the game. FSU was able to escape with a victory thanks to 2 muff punts and a blocked field goal and a blocked extra point on the hands of LSU. Miami was rock solid on special teams against Bethune-Cookman, from Andres Borregales putting all 11 kickoffs into the end zone for touchbacks, to great blocking on kickoff returns, which allowed Keyshawn Smith to bust out in his first game as Miami's lead kickoff returner. Here's some special footage for you, courtesy of Keyshawn's mom, who points out that Keyshawn was returning kickoffs quite well as a little kid. Pretty good moves there. You know, it's amazing how sometimes some of these kids, when you look at footage of them when they were in middle school, even younger, and you see a lot of the same skills that cross over to when they're college football players. And that's certainly the case there with Keyshawn Smith. All right, let's go out to your calls now. The number is 563-999-3550. 563-999-3550. Sorry to throw a few curveballs at you guys. I know we had a different number last week, but we were able to work out, hopefully, fingers crossed, the technology to go back to our original phone bank, because what we were finding was we really need the 100 phone lines. A lot of people like to call in and when they're driving or whatever and listen to the show on their phone on that call-in line. So we just decided to cross over the technologies. We're back to the old number, 563-999-3550. You hit 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. So let's get it going. We got a wide open board. Start calling in. I want to hear from all of our regulars. I want to hear from new callers. We're starting out now in the 304. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
Doing great, Gary. Hey, man, I was able to attend my first game at the Hard Rock, and it was a blast. I'll tell you what, though, I am skeptic of the linebackers. I think our D-line, our DBs are there, but something's up at the linebacker. I'm sorry, what?
No, I didn't say anything. Go ahead.
Something's up. I get the feeling, I think a poster said it earlier, that it seems like Flag and Steve are kind of getting that push to kind of get like that last chance to prove themselves. But I gotta believe, just from being at the game, watching the game, that Johnson and Smith are going to be the starters against the big boys. And it seems like Steele is really, or even Mario, they're really pushing. Help me with the freshman's last name. Is the best team. It sounds like they really want to get him up and running. And at this point, if Steed and Flag have hit their ceiling, I think everyone's in agreement that Bastine, his ceiling's a lot higher. Why not just throw him into the fire and let him learn, you know? And by the way, what are your thoughts on Malik Curtis? I mean, we hear all this about Malik Curtis, and I thought Keyshawn did a great job, but I thought Curtis would at least get a few shots at returning a punt or a kick just to kind of prepare himself, because from what everyone says, he's lights out. What are your thoughts?
All right, lot to dive into there. All right, so let's talk first about Caleb Johnson. Obviously we all assumed that when they brought him in the transfer portal from UCLA that he was going to be the starter from day one and minute one. And I asked Kevin Steele about it, and he made it pretty clear, pay zero attention to the depth chart. We aren't taking it seriously. I mean, they played 17 defensive linemen. What does that tell you? When it gets down to the nitty gritty, they're going to play 6, 7, maybe 8. You're not going to see anything like what you saw on Saturday. But Saturday's game was the opportunity to let a lot of guys play, and I think that's
right.
Yeah, I think that's what they did, and we'll probably see if things go well. Although I think Southern Miss will be a little bit of a better test than Bethune, but if things go well on Saturday, I think we'll see a lot of the similar type of rotation. This is the time right now to build depth, to get a feel for what guys can take what they've done on the practice field and carry it over to game day, and kind of really get your plan going, because it's game on the 17th, man. I don't have to tell you guys that. That's going to be a huge game for Miami, because the Canes haven't shown up for these games since 2017 when Notre Dame came to Hard Rock Stadium. Got blown out by LSU, got blown out by Alabama, and this is going to be another moment on a national stage, national TV, 9:00 Eastern, 8:00 obviously Central, and it's going to be a huge game for the program. It really is. I know it's not a conference game, but it's going to be a respect game. And Texas A&M is, they're ranked up there, I think number 5 or whatever, number 6, but depending on the poll. But this is a great opportunity. That's a team that can be had if you play a good game. So the first thing I would say to your comment is, don't get too caught up in the depth chart right now. They're playing a lot of guys, a lot of different combinations. If somebody was just a little bit nicked up, they reduce their reps. And they're taking a look at younger guys like Wesley Bassane, Chase Smith, who have been flashing at times. Wesley Bassane played very well the other day. Chase Smith was a special teams warrior and seems like he's on the cusp of breaking through as a linebacker for playing time. So this is an evolving situation at linebacker. I think the coaches see the same thing that we all see out here. We know that is one of the more challenged positions on the team. I think they want some new blood to emerge there if they can. Now, at the same time, Corey Flagg, against that level of competition, held up fairly well the other day. He played okay. He graded out fine. And I don't quite understand. He was taking a beating. We had a post-game show, and they were crushing him in the comments. I'm already seeing it on the comments tonight on YouTube on this show. Kyloran Miami Kane says, replace Flagg immediately. And, there seems to be a reluctance.
I don't want to beat up on the young man either. I heard the post game, and I mean, that's why I kind of went with the whole. He's kind of reached his ceiling. I think we have younger talent on the team that has a higher ceiling. I'm just trying to be professional in saying that, but I mean, at the end of the day, this next game we shouldn't have an issue. But I mean, really, you want it. You got to believe that we got to get experience in there, because the AM game, not only is it just for the schedule, but for recruiting too. It's a massive game.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. And, I just think that, you got to have patience. You got to let the coaches work through what they are working through to get to a comfort point where, they feel like they're putting the best players on the field, and they will get there for sure. This is a very high quality coaching staff. And, I just think that it's going to take a few weeks. They haven't gone to war with these guys yet. So, I think we just got to be a little bit patient, in that regard.
I think this week is going to be interesting also, because A&M has App State, and I mean, again, it's App State. I know. I think North Carolina's defense is suspect, but you cannot deny that App State has a passing offense with Bryce. So it's going to be interesting to watch that as well. Kind of give us a teaser, see what we're able to do, whether we ought to be a main run or open it up for the pass, which obviously I'm a fan of.
All right. Did you have anything else for tonight?
I think we're good, Gary.
All right, man.
Keep it on.
Thank you for being part of the show. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. I did see one comment about the caller audio quality. We are trying to work on that. We got a lot of moving parts here. This is all new technology that we're kind of trying to bring together. So just have patience with us, and we will continue to try to improve that here as we go through the week. So 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. And now we are going out to the 941. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Hi, Gary. It's the Meister Kane.
Hey, what's up, Mikester? How you doing this week?
Not too bad. Just watching the highlights of the game here, and big shout out for all our team fans out there calling in to participate in the show here. I have no commentary this year at this time, but I want to tell you guys about my situation, and it's quite a situation. It's a medical situation that I have. I have a heart deficiency. I've been diagnosed with ASD, which is Atrial Septal Deficiency. It's a hole in my heart between the upper two chambers, and I'm going to have surgery. And I ask everybody in Canes Nation to pray for me, yourself included, obviously.
We will. We promise.
So, thanks. On the game, I did notice that the linebackers were kind of out of sync a little bit. A lot of some crossing patterns were kind of being overlooked on that. What do we got on that situation there, bud?
I think that they had some technique things that broke down. I think that there's a lot that they're going to be working on in practice this week. I'm not jumping to conclusions on it. I mean, if you're talking about a deficiency at linebacker, I mean, that's where teams are going to attack you. They're going to attack you on intermediate crossing routes because that's where they're going to feel that they can isolate the linebackers and take advantage of that a little bit. And I think, Bethune did a good job in saying, okay, well, where might we find an edge? And they did. And, there were some chunk plays there that were not good. I mean, we talked about it in the open. I'm trying to get the numbers in front of me right now, but yeah, I mean, there were like 4 or 5 really, really, really big plays that you were like shocked to see against the level of competition against Bethune-Cookman. And, I think it's a good thing because to me, the worst thing that could have come out of that game is not having anything get exposed and walking out of there and saying, man, we're great. We got everything under control. We're ready for Texas A&M. And then you show up in College Station in 11 days now. And now suddenly everything's being exposed. So like, at least they can work on this stuff now, right? I mean, So, I consider that a good thing, Mikester.
Oh yeah. Yeah, obviously. I mean, you want to try to get that salt before the A&M game in front of 100,000 fans, obviously. That's one of those things there. So, anyway, yeah, let me see something else here. I want to find that one. I can't find it. Never mind. I'm watching the highlights of the game, trying to find that one crossing route there that they exploded. No, that's not it. I guess I'll just have to look for it later. But Xavier Restrepo had a really decent day. Receivers are starting to step up, don't you think, a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, hey, Michael Redding showed up. I mean, that was to me a positive. They didn't throw the ball to Keyshawn at all. I mean, Restrepo is going to need some company. I mean, people are going to get onto Restrepo, and he's going to start getting a lot more attention from defenses. And, they're going to need these other guys. And I thought it was a very, very, very positive development that Michael Redding, made a couple catches and started building some confidence. And they'll need other guys too, no doubt about it. Certainly they're going to need Keyshawn to step up. So, we'll see who else can do it. I'm not going to make any predictions there because of how much uneven performance that, we saw throughout training camp. But forward progress, absolutely. There's a lot more confidence within the program that these guys can make the, contributions. And Josh Gaddis is going to keep going to them. They're his guys. I mean, he coaches the receivers. And until they prove to him that they aren't ready for prime time, he's going to keep going at them.
I wanted to ask you this, Gary, while you were there. I mean, you've seen some of the practices, right? Do those receivers look like they have blazing speed, like they can get behind defenders with
No.
big chunks of yardage?
No, that's one of the weaknesses of the team is outside speed. There's no doubt about it. Frank Ladson is a guy that you have hope for, just because of his physical size, and he also caught the one pass that was thrown to him the other day. But he's not a burner either. And Keyshawn, we saw in the kickoff returns, can run decently. Matt and I were commenting to each other, if Devin Hester were returning those kicks, they would have been touchdowns. So, but that's not fair. I mean, there's, Devin Hester is the greatest returner maybe in the history of football. So, but no, Mike, it's a weakness. There is not great speed on the outside.
That's where you need like a 5-star, like what's his name, Brandon Nimitz from American Heritage.
I'm not sure he's a burner either. I mean, he's got okay speed.
who's a burner out there? What? Oh man.
I think Ray is going to be really. Ray is Nathaniel Ray Joseph. I think he's going to be a pretty quick receiver. He looks to me like he's got that kind of speed, and he's got a shot there. And they're going to keep looking, for guys that can bring that difference level speed. But he's definitely, without question, I think somebody that can do it. I think Washington, looks to me like he's got the potential to develop into, a second gear kind of guy. Robbie Washington. So, we'll see, but it's going to have to come in recruiting. It's going to have to come in the transfer portal. I don't think it's on the current roster.
Yeah, it's too late in the season now for that. But man, I'm trying to think of that third string quarterback. What's his name? Corey Brown, I think it is.
Yep.
Wasn't there a reason they might try him as a receiver?
No, that was just me having fun in the lab, thinking, they need help at receiver. Who can help? And I thought about Malik Curtis. I thought about Chris Graves. And then I'm looking at Jacuri, and I'm remembering how athletic he was in high school, and he's built kind of like Latson, like Lance Leggett. And I'm thinking to myself, I wonder what he would look like as a receiver. I would love to see him take some reps. And I posted that, and I created a firestorm. I mean, a lot of guys were like really rattled by that, and I don't know why. If some were more offended than others, but like. Jacuri is, they got a little package for him. You saw them try to roll it out the other day, and they couldn't even get the ball snapped. But, they got a little package where they try to take advantage of his athletic ability and do a few things. But, here's my question. You've got one of the best quarterbacks in the country in Tyler Van Dyke. To me, why would you ever take him off the field? I get it. Sometimes in the red zone, you want to mix things up and make somebody prepare for different things. And, obviously, Jacuri brings a lot to the table in that regard. If you want to, do things like run the Wildcat or different things like that and make a defense spend time preparing for him. But at the same time, man, I don't know that I want to take Tyler Van Dyke off the field very much. He's obviously really, really good.
No, you want to keep them on the field at all times. You want to keep your best personnel on the field at all times, obviously. And here's another thing about Chris Graves. He played double at Bishop Barreau. He did do receiver and defensive back at Bishop Barreau. So I was thinking, why not give him a shot? But like you said, it's you created a firestorm.
I did, man. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to upset anybody. I'm certainly not, picking on anybody or whatever. I think Jacuri Brown is to me, he's like a really good athlete. And I'm looking forward, and I'm saying, okay, well, he's the number 3 quarterback this year. I don't see him beating out Jake Garcia next year. When I watched in practice, you saw Jake comes in, he completes 8 out of 8. He's got great presence in the pocket. Jake looks like a polished quarterback out there right now. A year from now, he's going to be even better. If Tyler does go into the NFL, which everybody expects at this point, I don't think Jacuri is going to beat him out. And then you got Jaden Rashada coming into the program, who I think very highly of, and I think he's going to be a very good college player. And Emory Williams is still committed. We'll see if that one sticks or if he gets cold feet on the competition that he'd be facing. But there's going to continue. They're not going to stop recruiting quarterbacks these next few years. And there's going to continue to be quarterbacks coming in the program. And, to me, you got this great athlete. What's the harm in giving him a few reps? I don't even know if he can catch a ball. Maybe he's got stone hands and he can't do it. And then what I said is a moot point. But to me, it's like, where is the harm in seeing, throw him a couple fade routes and see if he can go up and get it.
Yeah, see what he can do. Give it a shot. Why not? But everybody out there has got to be very serious about these sort of things, I guess. So Oh, another thing too I got. What is going on with the AP? We didn't move up or down. We just stayed there at number 16. I don't get that. Do you?
I mean, they're just not overreacting to a win over Bethune-Cookman. Like, I don't have any problem with it. I don't think the rankings right now matter. All that matters is what happens in college. Well, let's not overlook this game. What happens Saturday, and then what happens really in College Station next week. You go up there, you beat Texas A&M. You're moving up significantly in the rankings. So why stress about it? Why even think about it? What difference does it make?
Right. That's a good point. Yeah, that I watched that game, Gary. They look awfully solid. Texas A&M looks really good right now.
They're good. They're, I don't think they're the fifth ranked team in the country. Personally, that's my opinion. But they're good. I mean, people think they're number 5, number 6 in some. I think some polls.
Yeah, number 6. I checked the polling. It's number 6 in the AP is what they are. But well, here's the hoping, right? So anyway, Gary, well, let's let some other callers get on the show here for tonight. Pray about the heart situation, and I give a shout out to Greg and everybody else. Kane, if you're out there, shout out to you, Adam, everybody, pray for me, okay?
When's your surgery, Mike?
I don't know yet. I did an evaluation on September the 22nd.
Okay.
So we'll see.
All right. Well,
I'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah. Best of luck with everything, man.
All right.
You got it.
Thank you.
Thanks for being.
Guys.
Thanks for
All
being.
right.
Yep. Thanks for being part of the show, as always. Okay. The number is 563-999-3550. 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. You're also welcome to continue submitting comments on the YouTube chat. CD Wright is rocking and rolling over there. But let's see. Daniel Morell says, did the game get us more or less excited for the season, and why? I'd like to hear from the callers what they think about that question. But I know I'm excited. I mean, I saw an exciting football team that was well organized, well coached. Like I said earlier, no stupid penalties. I didn't see a lot of mental busts on the offensive side of the ball. We saw some on the defensive side of the ball. But I personally thought that was a byproduct of how many guys that they were playing in the game. And I think once the rotations tighten and the focus becomes getting the players prepared that are going to be on the field the most, and it kind of gets shrunk down a little bit, and Kevin Steele knows who's going to be out there, and he's tailoring his play calls to the strengths of the guys on the field. I think it'll probably start looking a little bit different. So I didn't, panic too much about that. CD Wright comments about Flag saying everyone has flaws. He's a bit undersized and on the slow side. Yes, he is. He's really good at understanding what offenses are doing, and he tackles fairly well. Yes, when he's not overmatched athletically. And there will be times when they're playing teams where he will be. And a guy like, Caleb Johnson is faster and more experienced in college football. And I expect the rep distribution to change a little bit as we go forward in the season. CD Wright also then says that he watched the game again last night, and the defense overall looks slow. Sometimes you play faster than you are, but they just look slow. And I agree with that. That was my thought as I was watching the game live. And I, again, didn't want to jump to too big of a conclusion on that, just because I respected the fact that Bethune-Cookman did have some decent athletes on their team. I thought the quarterback was very athletic, and they were capable of making some plays. So, but no question that there were times out there where the defense did not play as fast as everybody would like to see them play. All right, let's go back to the calls. 563-999-3550, 888-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad. I see a lot of guys on the board. Not everyone's hitting the number 1. If you want to come on the show, hit the number 1 on the keypad. It puts you in the queue. I bring you on the show in the order that you land in the queue. Now let's go out to the 845. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Gary, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Greg? How you doing this week?
I'm doing well. Hope you are. My first wanted to say, by watching that first drive, I thought they brought Manny Diaz back as coordinator. With the 3rd and 23, he allowed a first down.
Yeah, it was a little rough there early, no doubt. I'll tell you a funny story. I know a very prominent Canes fan, and he's decided that every Penn State game this year, he's going to bet $1,000 on the over, figuring that Manny Diaz defense will always allow him to win $1,000 every week. He won his 1,000 week 1 very easily, and it wasn't totally because of Manny, but he cashed his ticket week 1, and it'll be interesting to see how he does the rest of the season. But yeah, it was kind of interesting seeing Manny coaching that Penn State defense.
Yeah. Okay, I want to bring up a point. I think you and Matt are underselling Thad Franklin. I think he's a pretty damn good running back. You guys dismiss him as like an afterthought.
Well, Greg, let me stop you for 1 second. I don't think we dismissed him as an afterthought. He was not in the picture very much a few weeks ago. Okay, but when Chaney and Citizen got hurt, things changed. He's not an afterthought at all right now. As we saw last week, he's a guy that's going to have to play a lot of football. I mean, they need him. Henry Parrish is not the biggest, the biggest guy in the world. Like he is not going to be able to withstand enormous pounding. He had 14 carries last week. I mean, I think that's about right for him. And then they gave Franklin 9. I like that distribution, Greg. I thought it was very good. I thought it was right on point, and I think we'll continue to see that here over the next few weeks. And then Knighton's coming back, so Franklin becomes the third option.
I'd much rather have him on 3rd and 1 than those other two. I'll tell you right now. He'll push the pile at least. I see Mario is very complimentary of his kid, Inez Cooper.
He's good. Mario thinks he's going to be a superstar. He loves that kid. He's 340, 350 pounds, but he moves like he's 300. And once they get him figuring out what to do, like I don't know how big of a real factor he'll be this year as a freshman, but they love his potential. They think he is going to be great.
Okay, I saw your Pro Football Focus numbers. Jake Garcia was 8 for 8, and he had a 68 rating. Please explain that one to me.
Who'd you say?
Jake Garcia was perfect.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He I don't know where they felt he went wrong. I mean, they're evaluating every player, every play, and I think they do a pretty good job at Pro Football Focus. But where they think that he went wrong, Jake, in that game the other night, I don't know. I thought he was darn good.
Okay, my last point. Tyreek Stevenson. Is he going to survive on the outside?
Yeah.
Receiving?
Yes, he will.
He got smoked by
that was one play he got smoked. Here's what happened, and it's not an excuse. And he knows he owns it, and he knows that he relaxed and got caught. But they were pulling guys in and out of the game a lot, Greg. I mean, and I keep referring to it. I don't want to sound like I'm making excuses. I'm not making excuses. I'm searching for answers and reasons. And guys were in and out, and I think you can lose a little focus and concentration. And that's what happened to Tariq on that play. He just lost his focus. His technique broke down, and the kid ran by him, and the pass was perfect, and he got caught. And he learned from it, and he knows that he needs to be better than that. And I think he will. I think, he had a really nice year last year. Doesn't mean nobody's ever going to beat him. I mean, there's no corner that never gets beat. But he understands that he lost his concentration on that play, and it hurt him and it hurt the team. And he is very focused this week. And you'll see that, I guess it'll be Thursday when we run his blog on the site. And you'll see his thoughts on that. He talks about that quite a bit in his blog this week.
I'm sorry, I got one last thing about Oregon.
Go ahead.
You claim that Mario left such a great roster out of Oregon. Why are they bringing in Patrick Nix as a quarterback if they have a 5-star quarterback that Mario recruited? And they got all these great players.
Yeah.
You lose by 46 points.
I hear you, man. Like, and I know I mean, I really felt that way about the Oregon team, but the Oregon team that Mario left lost a lot of its better players. Travis Dye, the running back, I think went to USC. You're breaking in a new quarterback. A couple of the offensive linemen came to Miami. But I was stunned at the way that they were pushed around in that game. I mean, it was disgusting. I mean, it was ugly the way Georgia was throwing those guys around like rag dolls. And I'm sure if Mario saw clips of that, I'm sure he was like stunned at what he was watching, because, I know he felt pretty good about those kids. And, as far as their quarterback, the T.Y. Thompson kid was a top recruit. He didn't develop as a true freshman, and clearly now they didn't feel good enough about him that they felt they had to bring Bo Nix from Auburn out there to be their quarterback, and it didn't work out real well week one. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't look to me like they got the same running back talent. I'm not really up on their team, to be honest with you, but it was not very good, as you're noting. I mean, they look to me like they'll be lucky if they're a 500 team this year.
That's the third straight game they've gotten their ass kicked. Twice by Utah and once by Georgia. All right, Gary, thank you. I appreciate it.
Greg, thank you as always for being part of the show. All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you would like to come on the show. Let's go out now to the 786. You are live on CaneSport Live. How you doing tonight?
Gary, my friend, how are you?
Hey, what's up, everything? How you doing this week?
Hey, man, doing phenomenal. How are you doing, Gary?
Doing good.
Hey, listen, before I get started, I just wanted to throw out there my sentiments and my thoughts for Meister Kane. I know it's a tough situation to go with, so just whether we have you all in our prayers. So you're going to be fine. You'll get through it, and you'll be back at the Rock in no time cheering the Canes on. So just want to pass that along, Gary.
Yes, sir. I agree, man. Meister Kane's you can tell you can just tell sometimes when you talk to somebody over a phone line or they come on a show like this, and Meister's always fun. I'm waiting for him to start whipping out some music and stuff like he did last year. But yeah, I mean, you feel for anybody that has to go through health problems, and that one sounds a little serious. So absolutely, he's got all of our prayers.
He's the first class King, Gary. First class King, my friend. But
No doubt.
I want to touch upon what I saw this past weekend. And I think you've covered most of it, so I hate to be repetitive here, but I just think it's one of those games which is really a glorified practice. That's pretty much what I take from it. You learn a little bit about some of the players that we have that are younger. We had a lot of thoughts confirmed, a lot of opinions confirmed. the returners that have come back and who they really are when the lights come on. So, we had that confirmed. And I just think that Mario's doing it the right way. He's trying to keep all these older guys pretty much involved and for them to really be an intricate part of where we're going. So he's trying to base the foundation through them as much as he can, and hopefully it extends to these young guys that they all buy into what he expects, what he demands, or what they all demand as a coaching staff. So I understand what he's trying to do, but sooner or later, yeah, you're going to see some of these younger guys getting more snaps. Sooner or later, you're going to have less guys playing on the defensive line. Sooner or later, you're going to have only 7 guys playing on the offensive line. Sooner or later, it's just going to be 4 wide receivers that are getting any snaps. So that's all going to come about as we go. But this is a great week. I think definitely it's much better opponent. You've got a solid running game from them. They just lost to Liberty at home. Liberty has not been a joke at all in the direction of Hugh Freeze. So I'm excited about what we see on Saturday. But I'm also wondering and maybe you can give us some more clarity on this, Kerry, but to what extent is it critical, okay, from a coach's mind, to go ahead and make sure Zion and Rooster play this week? How critical do you think that is at this stage?
If Zion's going to play against A&M, I think it's critical that he plays some this week. I'm just not sure he's going to. I don't know. We'll have to see how he continues to develop here, or recover from his injuries and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it would be hard to just throw him out there against Texas A&M with the athletes that they'll have on the defensive line. I don't know that we'll see that. So I think it's very important that he play this week. Rooster, I think, was close to playing last week. They can't afford to lose him everything. I mean, he is, to me, really. I mean, I feel that way about Restrepo. There's just a couple guys on this team that are so important that they can't afford to lose them. So if he's not 100% physically, I don't think I would play him Saturday. I think that he would be fine because he's a skill player, catching balls out of the backfield and stuff against Texas A&M. So I'm not as worried about that. But an offensive lineman who hasn't, who's missed training camp and now, has had very few reps in practice and now walking out and having to play against Texas A&M. I don't know, man. I don't like that formula right there. So we'll see.
I just, from a coaching perspective, if he doesn't start, then I don't think he's going to be available for A&M. And if he is, it's going to be something like to spot in case somebody gets hurt up front. If we don't see him start Saturday, I have some serious doubts about the upcoming week as well. With regards to Rooster, Gary, I understand he's a smaller back, but when you look at him and Parrish, they're very similar. But Rooster has that extra gear, and he's a little bit more elusive. So I think he's so dynamic that he puts more pressure on defense than Parrish does at this stage, especially when he's attacking your second and your third level defensively. So I'm really hoping that he's ready to come back and get a couple of snaps this weekend, 15, 20 touches maybe or so, 50, I think 10 touches, get his rhythm going and be ready for A&M. On the recruiting front, you mentioned the venue that was built, I think, for the car race, if I'm not mistaken, or something, or the tennis. I don't know what it was, but it had that venue for all the recruits.
Yeah, it was cool.
Like a special kind of ski area. I just can't wait to have a couple of 5-stars coming in and being here on game day here the next couple of weeks for a game. I think that would really sell where we're at. And yeah, it requires us to play well for the next 2 weekends. But just to know that opportunity is there for these kids, even the kids that are 24s and 25. I mean, you'd always like to go ahead and think ahead about recruiting, but at least we're doing things that are at an upper level. I know every school the Big Three has their unique settings. I know we had a couple of South Florida kids up in Columbus this past week, but I think that just adds more value to what you experience and you can get here at UM.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a nice job in recruiting, in trying to elevate the experience, and this was pretty cool. I mean, I was a little skeptical at first. They have this big area, and they use it for the F1 race, and it's built out very, very nice. But it was kind of like across the main road. There's like a perimeter road around Hard Rock, as you know, I'm sure. And it was kind of like on the other side. And the coaches are having to come all the way out of the stadium to go there. And it seemed to me like it was a little bit of a big deal in that regard. But it worked. I mean, it really did. It worked. And the funniest thing was, about 90 minutes before the game, Mario comes walking through the lobby on the home side, walks through the lobby, out the front doors, through the Fan Fest area, to come over to this recruiting area that they had built, that they were using. And I'm thinking to myself, like, he might not want to try this during Florida State week, I mean, because it might get a little bit more testy out there. But listen, it worked out fine, and they're trying to elevate the experience for the recruits.
Well, and I think that's just part of the ultimate, the big picture, the big vision that he's got, where we need to go to. And it's not going to be immediate. A lot of us think it's an immediate switch that we turn on, and it's not going to be immediate. It's going to take a while. And as negative Nelly, or Matt, aka Matt Septal, says every morning with you, he keeps it as realistic as he can. This is still a team that 8-4, 9-3. That's kind of where we're going to be at. You can kind of still see that the same issues we've had, but hopefully the infusion of younger talent combined with better coaching, with the 28, 35 analysts that we have, whatever that number may be, hopefully that all those commitments to our resources, that they start to pay off. And I think we'll be playing our best ball, Gary, the last 5-6 games of the year. I see us playing our best ball at that point, and also hopefully, going to a bowl game winning. So with that, I'll let you go, G. Again, I appreciate your time, and go Canes, guys.
All right, man. Well, first of all, there's no more negative Nelly. Negative Nelly has been sent on a month-long cruise. Matt Septal is as positive as can be now. And there's no reason not to be positive. I mean, the team looked good week 1. You got a big game coming up in 11 days, and be positive, be fired up for it. So that's what we're doing. All right. Got a pretty wide open board. Got 1 or 2 more callers to get to here, but it's a little quiet on the phone lines tonight. So great opportunity for you to come on the show. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the number 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Looking over again at the comments on YouTube, DemCanes01 says, I'm hearing we will start unleashing Wesley Besaint. And I would say, DemCanes, you are hearing correctly. You will see Wesley Besaint as soon as they feel comfortable putting him out there. He is one of the standout freshmen in this year's recruiting class. He is picking things up very, very quickly and looks extremely fast and extremely good out there. I don't know if it will happen for Texas A&M. That is asking a lot to throw a true freshman linebacker on the field in that game. But I do think that you will start to see more Wesley Besaint. I think you will see some of him this week against Southern Miss, and how this continued experimentation with him goes will determine how much you see him moving forward. But he's, he has enormous potential as well. Let's see if Christopher Wright likes Thad Franklin's balance for his size. I totally agree. I thought his footwork was the best that we had ever seen from Thad Franklin, and I think you can continue to see continued improvement there. J.R. Barr says, make sure to pronounce Cooper's first name right. I admittedly am horrendous with pronunciation sometimes. Is it? I'm assuming it's Anez Cooper. I'll just call him Cooper for now. And I will tell you that kid is going to be really, really good. Mario Cristobal thinks he's going to be a superstar. Manuel Soto says, I'm making excuses for the defense. No, I'm not making excuses. I said very clearly, I was searching for answers. When I see a Miami Hurricanes defense giving up big chunk plays to Bethune-Cookman, I want to know why it's happening. And I start analyzing why it's happening. And I think I felt like I knew why it was happening. It was because of all the rotation that was going on. And that was, they weren't perfectly in sync, and they weren't communicating perfectly with each other. And not an excuse. There's no excuses. Okay. But I do think that was one of the key explanations for why the defense maybe struggled a little bit on Saturday. Joel Hogu says, if the sky is falling with a blowout win, what'll happen when the Canes lose? People will be calling for coaches' heads. Ridiculous. Of course that's what's going to happen. When has that not happened? I remember planes flying over I guess it was the Orange Bowl back then, calling out Butch Davis. I mean, like, who only put together the best roster in college football history after that. That's what the Canes fan does. They call for heads. They overreact. So, yes, when the Canes lose, of course, that's going to be the reaction. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Open board. Let's go out to the 386. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary, how we doing tonight?
Doing great. Who's this?
It's Will.
What's up, Will?
I wasn't able to catch the show. Last week. I don't know if someone asked what I'm getting ready to ask last week, but couple of things real quick. I'm not sure, we one game into the season, everybody's already giving our linebackers a hard time, but I guess I'm kind of confused here. Are these guys that we can win with against the Texas A&M and Clemson, or is it going to be a long season?
I have felt that because of the increased quality of the defensive line, and based on what we have seen in practice, and going all the way back to the spring, with guys like Agude, Messidor, Jafari Harvey's playing better football. Darrell Jackson, I think, is a really good defensive tackle. Leonard Taylor needs to be that guy. I have felt, Harrison Hunt played decently the other day. We'll see how he does when the competition gets better. Jordan Miller with that big body. I have felt that with better play on the defensive line and the capability to have fresh legs in the game at all times, that they would be able to mask some of the deficiencies at linebacker. Now, we saw Bethune-Cookman comes out and they're isolating those crossing routes, and it didn't look real pretty at times. And there are going to be times when you need those linebackers to make a play, and when you need more speed on the field. And to me, the question is, can the Wesley Saints of the world, can the Chase Smiths of the world, can Caleb Johnson, can those guys come through and get themselves ready to play the big game to where they can maybe solve some of those problems? And we don't have an answer for that yet. And anything I would say about that right now would be pure guesswork, because it's a very legitimate question, and it's a very legitimate weakness on this team. And there's going to be times where it doesn't look good. I think we have to, accept that. But I'm hoping that there could be enough disruption at the line of scrimmage. I mean, we saw Messidor the other day tip a pass that was then intercepted by Gil Frierson. And, I'm hoping there can be enough disruption at the line of scrimmage to maybe throw off some of those plays in the intermediate zones to where teams might try to exploit those linebackers.
Okay, couple other things real quick here. There was once upon a time when it was nothing for a true freshman linebacker to get on the field at Miami. What I'm talking about is the Armsteads, the Ray Lewises, and the Jonathan Gilmers of the world. Why has that become such a hard position for a true freshman to get on the field at linebacker?
Well, I mean, for starters, look at the guys you're talking about. Ray Lewis, Jonathan Vilma, guys that played many, many years in the National Football League that were like all-American level talents at the college level. I mean, you're comparing them to Corey Flagg. The answer to that question would be recruit better. Manny Diaz did nothing in recruiting the whole time he was here. Linebacker was his pet position. He didn't get anything done in recruiting linebackers. You got to recruit better. That's the bottom line. You want better players on the field, you got to recruit better.
Okay. And last two here, here's the doozy now. And what comes to mind when I ask you this question? What's the biggest thing you've seen with the program transitioning from Manny to Mario?
Oh my God. Well, we have time, so I could talk about that. My God, it's only everything. I mean, it starts with the professional way that the program is being run. I mean, it's everything that I knew it needed and that I called out for the last few years, and now I see it. I mean, Manny Diaz could not have inspired this type of commitment from the university. Okay, that's number one. Manny Diaz could not have inspired the level of community engagement in the program that Mario Cristobal has. John Ruiz, who is the NIL god, probably wasn't getting engaged like this with Manny Diaz as the head coach. The Moss brothers certainly were not getting engaged like this if Manny Diaz was the head coach. Okay, then let's go to the coaching staff that Mario Cristobal then put together after he already had the university on board. He had these key influencers in the community on board. Now it was time to hire a coaching staff. I mean, my God, Kevin Steele, one of the better defensive coaches in college football the last decade or so. You got Charlie Strong, who's been a head coach for a dozen years or so, coaching your linebackers. Coach Adai, who's coaching the defensive backs, is considered one of the young up-and-comers in coaching in college football. You've got a defensive line group of Joe Salavea, Rod Wright, and Jason Taylor, all who played in the National Football League. Jason Taylor, who's a Hall of Famer, now tutoring your defensive ends. I mean, and that's just the defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side of the ball, you go and hire Josh Gaddis, who won the Broyles Award, Frank Ponce, who's an experienced coach at this point to coach your quarterbacks. Alex Mirabal, who's Mario Cristobal's right-hand guy, to coach the offensive line. So you can go on and on and on. Like, this is a very good coaching staff that Mario put together. So that was the next, level of his evolution as the head coach of Miami. Then you go to the next layer, the support staff, and I can't name everybody in the building. I don't even know. It's like there's not even a staff list. Okay, it's like there are more people that are in there working in support staff, and obviously Alonzo Highsmith as the GM is a very prominent figure, but there's a lot of people in there that are working on the support staff. They are doing a great job running recruiting, things like that. So that was great. Strength coach Aaron Feld. I mean, to me, just an absolute freak as a strength coach. Such a unique personality. In fact, Aaron Feld, he's got kids out there imitating him. I don't know if you've seen this video, but I'll play it again because I can't play it enough. This is so cool. Look at this.
What up? It's day 32 of the
I mean, when have we ever had a strength coach that has little kids idolizing them and making social media videos like that? But look, top to bottom, nutrition. They're getting ready to build to $150 million facility that'll be as good as any in the country. Probably 3 years down the road from now. Just every single thing that's going on in this program is top shelf, first class, well thought out, great plan, and a proven plan. And I can't say enough about it. Seriously, I'm blown away by what I see. I don't know how it's going to correlate into wins and losses this season. That's going to be very interesting. Where this team ends up in the one loss column. But whatever that ends up being, as Canes fans, all you guys out there can have 100% comfort that this program is being run as well as it can be run, and they are going to have a chance every single year. That is all that you can ask as a fan.
Okay. And my last two questions, and I'll hang up then. I've seen Ed Orgeron at a few practices. What is his role with the team, and will we get our own stadium? And upon saying that, I want to give a shout out to the guy that called in and asked for prayers. The greatest healer in the universe sits in heaven on the right hand of his Father and our Father. So just keep looking up and trust him.
Okay, so the stadium is an interesting question. That's a pet project of John Ruiz, as you know, and he would like to build a stadium at Tropical Park, and they've engaged architects, and they're starting to come up with drawings and plans, and then they are going to have to present them first, probably to Dade County, and see if the county would come on board. I mean, it's going to take a lot of approvals. You're talking about parkland at Tropical Park, and I don't know if he's going to ask the county to give it to him for free, if he's going to ask for a favorable lease. You're talking about totally redoing a massive public park. So there's going to be a lot of layers. It's probably going to have to go to a public vote, I'm guessing. So there's a lot of layers with this Tropical Park Stadium concept. And right now, it's not even on the radar at the university. Okay. Right now, this is John Ruiz's project that he's trying to develop. At the university, they are focused on what they call the forever home for Miami football. And that is that new $100 to $150 million football complex that they will be building. They're getting ready to raise money for it right now. And they want it to be something that will stand the test of time, that will be as good as any facility in the country, so that they're not having to come back and do construction every few years. Think about this. You just opened your indoor, you just redid everything, and now you just had to rebuild a locker room. Well, this locker room could have been built right the first time, okay? It bothers me, man. It's like people, guys that are our subscribers, that are in our fan base, they donate all these millions of dollars. There's a responsibility to spend them properly. And there is no reason why you have to be, tearing up the locker room to build a new locker room and this quickly. And I get, it's been maybe 6-7 years since that locker room was done. I'm not counting. And, I apologize to, if I'm ruffling any feathers by saying this, but, the indoor practice facility, I mean, that thing was just opened. Why was it built at 70 yards? Okay. Why? You're telling me, okay, they spent 41, 42, 43 million on that indoor practice facility. Let's say it would have taken 50 to make it a full 120 yards. You're telling me the university couldn't come up with $10 million. I mean, it's like they got to start, now you're going to have to spend another 10, 15, 20, whatever, to extend it out as part of this whole project that's going to take place. So the important thing to me is that they must do this building right, so that they don't have to keep redoing it and redoing it and redoing it. And I think they are focused on that. I think that's what Dan Radakovich wants to see happen. And, hopefully it does work out that way.
And Ed Orgeron.
Oh, Ed Orgeron. I'm sorry. Yeah. Ed Orgeron is kind of like, I don't even think he's like an official analyst. I think he just kind of comes out every now and then. His son's working in the program. I think he's spending a lot of time in South Florida, and he likes to pop out for practice and things like that. And he's trying to be supportive. Mario's been very supportive of him and his family by giving his son an opportunity. And, I think he's just trying to, keep his, he's been around football his whole life. Sure, he likes being around football. He loves living in South Florida. And I saw some crazy video on social media with him the other day with this, beautiful lady. And he's just loving life, man. They're buying him out for $17 million at LSU. And he was doing an interview, I think it was this last week. He was joking about how, like, when LSU came to him and said, hey, things aren't going real well. We want you to leave, but we're going to honor your contract. We're going to give you $17 million. His response was, how quick can I leave? What door would you like for me to walk out? It's like, he's a character, but I think he's just trying to keep his hand in football.
Hey, awesome show. I appreciate you taking my call, Gary.
All right, man. Thank you for being part of it. All right, guys, we got a lot of open lines, man. Where is everybody tonight? 563-999-3550. 563-999-3550. We are comfortably here in hour number 2. We are not going to have a counterpoint segment tonight with Bruce Warner and a former player. There's a couple things happened that are precluding that from happening tonight. We'll be back with that next week. Tomorrow night, we have the Lamar Thomas show, and we will have Darren Crine coming on the show and Kelvin Harris coming on the Lamar Thomas show this week. So make sure you join us for the Lamar Thomas show. But we got a lot of open lines here tonight. 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go out now to the 678. You're live on CaneSport Live. How you doing this evening?
Hey, Gary, this is Mark. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Mark? How you doing tonight?
I'm well. Great show. Say, comment a little bit on, I guess I'm an untrained guy, but when I look at the defensive line, in particular tackles and ends, I didn't see them getting a lot of push. I saw missed assignments on the edge, but I didn't see the push that we were hoping for. I know they were playing a lot of guys, but let's maybe limit it to more the prime guys that you think are going to play the most role. Did you see the push and I'm just missing it, or were they kind of a little bit flat?
I'm sure they were a little bit flat, but I think we saw it a little bit from Darryl Jackson. I think we saw it a little bit from Leonard Taylor before he had his stinger. But they were playing very vanilla defense. There was not a lot of scheming going on. There was not a lot of stunting. They were not looking to show very much on either side of the ball. And that affects things. It was just mano-a-mano football. And at the same time, if you look at the rushing stats, I believe, and I'll pull them up here real quick just so I'm giving you accurate numbers. But the running backs from scrimmage, I believe, had like 20 carries and only 25 yards of rushing. So most of their rushing yards were from quarterbacks scrambling. So I think that the dominance, the defensive line dominance that you're talking about might have been there a little bit more than we think. And it was lost because of all the scramble plays, the loss of containment in some situations that allowed Bethune-Cookman to have some success. And I think that's probably why you feel the way you do about it.
Okay. Well, I guess what I just wasn't seeing was that bull rush, that immediate disruption in the backfield that you would have liked to have seen against, say, a Bethune. Because if you can't do it against them, how are you going to do it against the big boys?
No doubt, man. And they're going to have to do it in 11 days.
Comment a little bit on the offensive line, on what's going on with Zion Nelson, and how did you think that they did in terms of opening up holes? It seems like they did a pretty good job
in like the B gap, and they seem to be able to open up holes. But as you know, give me your comments on that.
First of all, on Zion, he's obviously still recovering. I mean, he's been out of practice, but they're not going to rush him back. They're not going to do that to him. So it'll be interesting to see if we see him this week, because like we just said a little while ago, I personally think he has to play this week if he's going to play against Texas A&M. I can't imagine him just getting thrown out there against Texas A&M unless John Campbell just can't handle it. And Campbell played okay this week. I thought they all looked pretty decent. They had 300 plus yards rushing, but make no mistake, like those guys were glorified blocking dummies that they were going against. I was not very impressed with what Bethune rolled out there at the defense in the front seven. Really, I thought obviously Miami could do whatever it wanted and did. And, hopefully they get a little bit better test this week, because they're going to need to be, at the top of their game in College Station.
Yeah. Okay, then lastly, just kind of a little different subject matter. Is part of Mario's team overall something on the psychological side to get these guys ready for Saturdays?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, they are always working the mind as well as the body in this program right now. And a big part of that is Aaron Feld. Like, he's a big believer in that. And every day of the off season, he was doing that. They were, they were coaching the minds as well as, coaching the kids physically. And they've had a lot of motivational speakers coming through in training camp. And Mario Cristobal is a big believer in that. And, confidence, mental edge, knowing your assignments, what you're supposed to do, feeling like you can do it. You can go on and pull out all the psychological factors of playing football. But yes, he is a huge believer in that. He is always coaching the mind as well as the body.
I just never hear that talked about. What about having like a psychologist on staff?
Oh, they do. They've got him in the building, no doubt. They absolutely, they 100% do.
Okay.
How many? I'm not sure. I think I know of one, right? For sure. I don't know if a second has been added under Mario. That'd be something I'd have to ask and look into. But sports psychology is a big deal when you're talking about teams, competition, even like individual sports. Like, I don't know if you're a tennis fan or how many guys out there are tennis fans, but I've been watching a little bit of the U.S. Open and that guy, Nick Kyrgios. And, that guy's got a lot of talent, and he's like a psycho out there, man. But you could see where he's improving it and getting himself more under control, and he's getting results with it. And he's clearly getting help with that. And he made the finals of Wimbledon, and he's on track to make the finals possibly of the U.S. Open. And this guy's career is going to a whole nother stratosphere because of the mental coaching that he's getting to keep his emotions under wrap when he's in the competitive arena. And it applies to team sports football, no doubt about it. Guys gotta, have their emotions under control. They have to, have their confidence in the right place. And, if you don't believe you're going to catch a football, you're going to drop a lot of balls. And, we've seen the improvement, we think, in the receivers. They didn't drop any balls this past week. And a lot of that's mental. I mean, I'm telling you, it was only 2 weeks removed from me being out on the practice field filming a drill with no defense, just quarterbacks and receivers for 45 seconds. And I would say of maybe 7 balls that were thrown in that drill, 6 of the 7 were dropped. And it was to the point where I had to erase the video from the camera because I couldn't post it on the website because of the ridicule that it would have drawn. And now they're out there. They caught every ball the other day. So they're improving mentally as well as physically. And I think that crosses over through all sports, all positions. It's a very important part of being an athlete and putting a team together.
appreciate your comments, Gary. I'll let you go to the next caller.
All right, man. Thank you for being part of the show. All right, guys, I'm going to go through these comments, and then I've got some questions to deal with that were submitted by the posters at CaneSport.com. But I don't have any more callers in the queue that are raising their hands, and I don't know where everybody is tonight. Maybe it's still early in the season; they haven't programmed themselves to being here on Tuesday night. But if you want to call the show tonight, and we've been trying. We wanted to make an effort to keep these shows within 2 hours anyway. And like I said, we are not going to have the point counterpoint segment tonight. But if you want to get into the show tonight, now is the time to call. Again, the number 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. All right, let's continue on with the comments on YouTube. Good thing, Christopher Wright, man. This guy, I mean, I love this guy. He's always got to be pushing a button, and it doesn't matter if he's on the message board, if he's in the YouTube comments. So he says that it's a great thing that Manny Diaz handed Mario a great quarterback room. And you know what, CD? You're right. I mean, nobody can argue with that, man. Having a franchise quarterback in your first year as a head coach is absolutely massive. And I don't think Mario would suggest differently. And you know, this program needed some things. And it needed a better infrastructure. It needed a better plan. It needed a little bit better leadership. And it got all those things. But it doesn't mean that everything that Manny Diaz and his staff did was horrible. And I think it was Dan Enos that recruited Tyler Van Dyke, and Rhett Lashley, who recruited Jake Garcia. And they get credit for that, man. These are two very good quarterbacks, and we'll see what Yakuri becomes. I don't want to sound like I'm dismissing him. I'm not. I mean, enormous athletic ability. I know that Mario Cristobal loves athletic quarterbacks. He played with one at Oregon last year. It didn't work out as well as he would have wanted it to. But right now, I think it's the Tyler and Jake show quarterback. And yeah, absolutely. If you want to give Manny credit, CD, give Manny credit, because they did leave the quarterback room in a good place. Catalyst 99 thinks that the Texas A&M game is our most important. And it's certainly most important right now. A lot of respect on the line in that game for Miami because of the recent history of the big games and the fact that they have not gone well. And, I know Mario's going to have these guys ready to play. I mean, he took his Oregon team into Ohio State last year and they beat Ohio State, and it wasn't close, really. Like, they had a great game plan and they executed it and it worked, and they beat Ohio State at home. And, I think he's going to have these guys ready to play for Texas A&M. Texas A&M is doing a lot of head-to-head recruiting against Miami. They're coming down to South Florida, and they're like circling one or two guys a year. Last year it was Shamar Stewart. This year it's Hakeem Williams, and they're all in, man. Like, they are like, we are going to get this kid no matter what we got to do. Okay. And, obviously now with NIL, you can do it legally. And, I think it's important that Miami can exert superiority over Texas A&M if it's possible these next two seasons when they play. And so I'm very confident that Miami is going to go up to College Station with all guns blazing. And, we'll see how that works out. But yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, I agree. It is our most important now. Now, when the ACC schedule starts, hopefully Clemson becomes the most important. Hopefully you're winning the other games, and that game against Clemson is essentially to get into the ACC championship game, probably against Clemson again. But right now, Texas A&M game, extremely important. No argument. Where's Matt? We need negative comments. Drew Linfield says, it's like I can't expect Matt to do everything. Okay, like Matt works really hard. Matt, we have shifts. Like we are literally a 20-hour a day probably operation. And Matt gets up early, real early, and starts the morning shift. And of course, we have our Good Morning CaneSport show. I don't sleep a lot, and I'm like the guy that does a lot of the night work, and I stay up late and for breaking news and things like that. So it's 9:30 at night right now. We're about 15 hours into Matt Shodell's workday, so I don't ask him to do CaneSport Live on Tuesday nights. He does a lot, and so this is the show for you guys to call in and have a voice, and I would like to keep it that way. We just need all of our guys to come on board and call in, and a couple of them just did jump in, so I'm going to go back to the phone lines now. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go out to the 706. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, good evening, Gary. Welcome to the new year. This is Sebastian.
Hey, what's up, Sebastian? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. First, let me give you and Matt a shout out on CaneSport Live. I really start my day off.
You're mixing up your shows. It's Good Morning CaneSport.
Good Morning CaneSport. Good Morning CaneSport. Yeah. But no, I really appreciate the back and forth, the dialogue, the analysis. It's entertaining and it's very, very informative. So I just want to give you a quick shout out for that. I'm kind of late to the call. I know a lot of this stuff has already been discussed, but there's some things that I've been curious on. Should we be concerned with the defensive back recruiting? It looks like we have 2 safeties that were locked in and both other places, and the cornerback board looks kind of small. So are we like at the plan B side yet, or did we just miss on some targets that we really, really identified that we just missed on?
All right, I'm going to need you to clarify for me. I'm misunderstanding your question a little bit. Are you asking me about safeties?
Yeah. It looks like a defense. I'm looking at corners and safeties. It looks like we were on target to land some elite prospects, and they went the other way. And it looks like are we at the plan B stage right now, or what other targets emerged? It seems like we just kind of fell flat in that area.
Yeah, I don't know that I would call it plan B when you're lining up with James Williams, Avante Williams, Cam Kinchins, and behind them you got guys like Brian Ballum and Al Blades. And is there an Ed Reed or Sean Taylor out there? Absolutely not. Okay, but I know James Williams is trying to be Sean Taylor. I get it. Okay, and maybe he will become that. I thought James looked good the other night. I thought his interception was spectacular, great instincts, and but I'm not ready to say Sean Taylor. But Matt and I talked about this before the season, and there was a great assumption that, oh my God, our safeties are unbelievable. It's going to be the strongest position on the team. If there were superlatives that could be thrown out, I think they were thrown out. And the truth is, when you kind of like, it depends. Like, do you want to be wearing like these things when you talk about it, or or not? And geez, my screen just went haywire. I don't know what. I didn't mean to screw that up. But the truth of the matter is that these guys, like Avante Williams, hasn't played a lot of football for Miami. I mean, we don't know how great he's going to be. I think Cam Kinchins is spectacular, and you saw the interception that he had last week. I thought it was a great interception. James Williams obviously can be very good, but his tackling was not very good last season. We'll see how it is this season. He's still learning. There, I know it's a hot button. I know I'm going to trigger some people here when I say this, but I think there is still question. Is he a true free safety, or is he a hybrid kind of linebacker type of player? I saw him in the box quite a bit last week. I think we're going to continue to see him in the box quite a bit so they can get all three of their safeties on the field at the same time. But I think it's still a position that is unproven. I really do. Like there's no deep resume there, and that shouldn't be offensive to anybody. I mean, I think that's the facts. I mean, and hopefully that will evolve here as the season goes forward. And by the time we get to the end of the year, there will be a resume. But is it elite like Sean Taylor, Ed Reed? Absolutely not. Would I call it? I can't. I'm trying to remember what term you used. What was the phrase you used to describe it?
I was just saying, I don't know what I said. I think I said, like, it was a solid play. I think we kind of missed. We thrown some fences on, we had some prime targets that we just missed out on, like Bonzu and I forget the other guy.
Yeah, but you're talking now into the future. Like that's recruiting class stuff. We're a long way from the finish line in recruiting. That's still 3 months away, and December is going to be the Wild Wild West Part 2. I promise you that. There's going to be a lot of movement. You're going to see new commitments. You're going to see decommitments. You're going to see kids that thought they were going to get big NIL deals whose market value is going to go down because they played like garbage this year, and people aren't going to want them as badly or want to give them as big of NIL deals as they maybe might have. And there's going to be other guys that are going to rise up and play better, and they're going to command bigger NIL deals. And the whole thing is going to be crazy in the month of December. NCAA, don't even try to legislate in the month of December this year. It is going to be a nut house. There is no doubt about it. And so I wouldn't jump to conclusions about the recruiting class yet. Maybe Bonsu comes back into the mix. Maybe there's somebody better than him that comes into the mix.
Okay. I can come with that. I didn't get a chance to watch the game, but I just saw a lot of the highlights. But I guess a lot of the comments that came out from the game was just that the team really is very, very disciplined. Aside from Cam Kitchen's, celebration, it's the first interception of the season. I give him a pass on that. It seemed like the kids were very, very disciplined, very, very locked in and prepared. Is that something that you took away from the game?
Absolutely. And the minute that they weren't disciplined, Mario Cristobal was going on one of his tirades that, don't always look the greatest on television, but he made it clear that there's nothing that Mario hates more than showboating and, extracurricular, like when you're a champion, if you're a championship team, like the old Hurricanes were, and you're winning titles and you want to show swag and that kind of thing, my guess is he'll be somewhat more tolerant of it then. But, right now, a team that's in development like this one is, like, he doesn't want to see his guys spiking balls and getting 15-yard penalties and things like that. He doesn't want to see individual displays that draw individual attention to people. He wants these guys playing like a team with a united focus, and he's demanding that. But so other than that brief moment where he kind of like laid into his defense a little bit, absolutely they were disciplined. I mean, I didn't see sloppy penalties of any type. Let me see here. I'm trying to look up. I've got the stat sheet in front of me. I mean, I don't remember many penalties at all. I mean, other than the 15-yarder, and then and I guess there were a couple of like 30 yards of penalties, 5 penalties like 30 yards. Other than that one, I mean, I thought they were very disciplined.
Okay, there's 2 quick questions, and I'll move on. There's a lot of talk about the linebackers play in relation to trying to get the new guys on board. Transfer from UCLA, Smith, and also West is the same. Is it a matter of them just learning the defense
they're more talented, but they just don't learn, they haven't learned the defense for them to get out there? Or are we just bringing it along slowly just because we don't have the depth that we need at the linebacker position?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's being brought along slowly. I mean, I think they're being brought along as fast as they could be brought along. There's nothing that the coaches would love more, I don't think, than to see Wesley Basainth rise up and be ready to play. I mean, he's a true freshman. I mean, it's asking a lot. It's a whole different deal than playing in high school, but he clearly has the athletic ability to do it. And it's a stampede, like, him, Chase Smith, these guys are going to get opportunities, and, they're probably better than Steed and Flag. And as soon as they are ready, I think they will shoot past those guys. When that will happen is impossible to predict.
Okay.
You can't force it. You can't force it. You can't force it because, you try to force it and you make a mistake, it's going to cost you a ball game because you're going to be in a key moment of yeah. So you got to let it just happen organically,
No, I get that. I get that, and I'm comfortable with that. And I'm excited to see what these young guys are going to bring. The question I have is: are we at risk for any transferring out of the program? I mean, when I see a kid like Jalen Terrell gets suspended and Horton gets suspended, I'm just wondering if it's maturity or are these kids not buying into the program? What's going on with it? I know Mario is not going to stand for that.
100% you're going to see transfers. Okay. I mean, think about this. I think they had 21 players leave the program in this offseason that just passed. I'll bet you're going to have another 15 to 20 players leave the program in the next offseason. It's part of the process that has to happen to allow the program and roster in general to make forward progress. And make no mistake, I don't know what the record's going to be when we get to the end of November, but there has been forward progress made. This is a better team, other than the fact that you lost a lot in Rambo and Harley, and because of what they meant to the team, not because they were great players. Both got cut from NFL camps. They're probably not going to be NFL players. But as far as college players on this team, they were pretty good last year. And if you had them back this year, and man, Rambo, oh, did he blow it, man? Because he could have come back. He could have got himself a big NIL deal, and he would be such a key component of this team this year. And
yeah, we
would have a whole different outlook here, in my opinion, if they had Rambo. But so like I think you're gonna see, as part of this evolution and turning over the roster, and guys that don't play very much this year and don't have a future here, I think there'll probably be 15, 16 of those that will leave. I'm just guessing.
Okay. No, that just makes sense. I mean, that just makes sense to me. And the only reason why I say that is because some kids want to play football just because they want to play football. They may not have the talent to make it to the league, but instead of sitting on a roster, sitting on a team and not playing and not developing and keeping other guys from being able to come on board, I just think they want to, see other green pastures. Hey, Gary, I'm enjoying the show in the morning. I finally understand how to get back on CaneSport. The show is going to be on Tuesdays, every Tuesday, moving forward, right?
This show will be every Tuesday, 8 o'clock. Lamar Thomas show every Wednesday night, 8 o'clock.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to see what they look like this weekend. I'm crossing my fingers against College Station. And I just want a fourth quarter game. And then we'll just go from there. That's what I'm shooting for. I just want a fourth quarter game in College Station, and let's team win.
All right, man. Thank you for being part of the show.
I appreciate it. Keep me on hold.
All right, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. I've got one caller I'm going to get to in a minute. Other than that, we have a wide open board. So if you want to get on tonight, You need to call in now. Looking at some more of the comments on YouTube. Manuel Soto says we put Zion out there as a freshman against UF. He's built for this. Yeah, we did, and it was ugly. Okay, and a Zion who has not gone through training camp, who missed spring. No, he didn't miss spring, but he didn't go through training camp, and thus far has not played in the game this year. To throw him out there against one of the better lines, Texas A&M. I mean, can they do it? Yes. But I think John Campbell at that point, if that's how it plays out, would get the first nod. And but we'll see. Maybe Zion is ready to go 20, 30 reps this week and start getting his feet back into it, and then we'll see. Honey IV, my man says Mario has bodyguards, I'm sure. He didn't have any bodyguards on Saturday, man. He was walking through, he had one guy, one staffer walking with him in the parking lot. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, thank God he doesn't have to walk through Florida State fans to get over to the recruiting area. It'll be interesting to see what happens if they have the same recruiting area for Florida State. Brendan Coffey wants to know, where's our man Ross? Ross. That's a great question. I miss Ross. Like, Ross is one of the highlights of CaneSport Live, and I'm sure he'll make an appearance here soon. He likes to be part of this show. So I'm not sure why it's taking him some time to be here. Can I get somebody to bench? U-Town wants to know if we can bench a quarterback and a linebacker that should not be playing. I know who you're talking about, U-Town. And no, I cannot handle that for you. That's going to have to happen organically. Just remember, this is a new coaching staff. They don't have the same preconceived ideas that the fan base has. So those guys that you're referring to are going to have to not play well to fall into that type of favor with their coaches. And surely that is not what, as a Canes fan, you're really cheering for. Like, you would really love to see those guys do as well as the coaches think they're going to do, which is why they're putting them out there right now. We'll see what happens. Miami went from a GA as linebacker coach to Charlie Strong. Has to be better. McCormick says that, and got to totally agree. Let's go. Let's see. Norman Smith. Got to think Manny Diaz handed Mario a great linebacker room. LMAO. Yeah, that's an LMAO for sure, Norman Smith. That obviously was not the case. Let's see. Brian McKenzie wants to see the right players out on the field, put the best guy in, freshman or not. They take his lumps, it's okay. Okay, so you throw a freshman out there against Texas A&M. If he takes his lumps, it's okay until he busts, midway through the fourth quarter and gives up an easy touchdown to the Aggies, and now you end up losing that game, and the whole fan base is calling for Mario Cristobal to be fired, and all hell's breaking loose. So it's easy out here to have those kind of opinions, but in reality, coaches do not like to put players out on the field that don't prove that they are ready, and they got to prove it in practice all week. They got to prove it on Friday nights when they take the tests on the game plan to prove that they know the game plan. And they're not looking at it the way that you are. A Love Fest starring Manuel Soto. Man, you're in rare form tonight. You must be drinking with honey. Love Fest starring Gary, John Ruiz, and the coaching staff. What do you mean Love Fest? Yeah, like, I love this coaching staff, if that's what you're talking about. And John Ruiz is saving this program. So if your commentary is on me complimenting those two elements of what is taking place in Miami football right now, yeah, guilty as charged, man. Like, put me in jail, because I will go down in handcuffs, whatever, arguing about the coaching staff and John Ruiz, who to me is saving Miami athletics right now. So yeah, man, that's the thing. CD Wright, again, who, let's preface this, was a huge Manny Diaz fan, okay, was constantly defending Manny, says provide the resources with all of our head coaches, suggesting that Manny Diaz didn't get the resources. All right. Now, CD, let's take you back to reality, my man. Okay. Manny Diaz's father was the mayor of Miami for almost a decade. Okay. He knows and probably could call in favors from every power broker in the state of Miami, the 305, the 954, certainly the 305. Okay. So if Manny Diaz Jr. was capable of commanding that type of commitment, I have to believe that it could have happened. Okay. The Mas brothers and John Ruiz were not inspired. They're not part of that circle. Okay. And it's Miami. There's circles, there's cliques. Everybody just assumes that all the Latinos are together. No, all the Latinos aren't together any more than all the Anglos are all together. I mean, no one's all together. There's different, groups. There's different networking elements in play, different guys that do business with each other. It's a little more complicated than people would think. So CD, it's not just a matter of providing resources. If you're the University of Miami and you're talking about taking $50 million or whatever the number is of your of your hospital profits, and you're applying them to the football program, you have to be inspired to do that. Okay. Now, maybe it was Kirk Herbstreit's comments. Maybe it was the demands of what it was going to take to get Mario Cristobal, because if the University of Miami and the University of Miami community was not all in on this thing, this was not happening. I will tell you that right now. Mario was not coming if they were not all in. Okay. So Mario was able to inspire everybody to get all in. Manny was not, period. And you can't blame anybody for that but Manny, because Manny did have a resource in his dad who is very well connected in South Florida. Hope that explains that. I feel like, that's pretty accurate. So CD, don't agree with you on that one, my man. I don't think you're right. Mike Williams says Miami better have a good record at the end of the season. If not, we will lose recruits to Florida and Florida State. Florida and Florida State better have a good record at the end of the season too. Florida State got lucky the other night. They did look much better to me. I think they're making progress as a program. But LSU should have won that game, and they didn't. So Florida State got a pass on that one. They got that one. But Florida State and Florida better have good records at the end of the year as well. Okay, 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550 is the number. Let's go out to the 678. You're live on CaneSport Live. And by the way, if you do call the number, you got to hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. 678, you're live on CaneSport Live.
What's going on, friend? It's T-Dog.
Hey, what's up, T-Dog? 2 weeks in a row, man. It's so great to have you back, man. I'm so happy you're back.
I would have called in earlier. I was at my son's football practice, my 10-year-old son. So, but anyway, I don't know if I missed it earlier. I kind of heard you tee it up for me again, like you did last week with Garcia. You were talking about a certain cornerback. I don't know if you had the conversations yet about Ivy, but I don't understand what it is about this guy, man. Like you hear in practice, in camp, he's got the size, the length, the acumen and all that. But then you see him in the game, he takes horrible angles. He missed tackles. When he does take the correct angle, he makes a tackle. Somebody usually breaks the tackle. And he's always playing catch up. I just don't understand what's the fascination with this guy.
Well, you got T-Dog, you got new coaches this year, and they come in and they're looking at this guy, and he's everything you just said he is. He's got speed, he's long, does well in practice, usually. I mean, doesn't really get beat a lot in practice, and there's something that happens in a game where he's just not he doesn't bring his game from the practice field to the playing field as well as he needs to, I can't explain it. I understand.
And I'm not saying kick him off the team.
No, you're not going to start. This is, I think, his 6th year on the team. He's not getting kicked off the team. But
right. I don't need him to be kicked off, but does he have to start it? Is what I'm asking.
Well, I mean,
can he not be a rotational guy?
I think Porter was brought in here with the idea that he would start, and clearly the coaches felt that DJ Ivy had a better training camp than Porter. How long that will stick, I don't know. Isaiah Dunston has had good spring and fall. The only thing he lacks is foot speed. I don't know, that they can throw him out there full time. Al Blades, they moved to safety. The young kids, the young freshmen are doing pretty well. Malik Curtis, Graves, they're doing well, but they're not ready to play. So they need DJ Ivy out there. Corey Couch is more of a slot corner. So really, it's Porter that is going to have to unseat him if he's going to get unseated.
And it kind of, his issue is the same issue I have with some of the other players on the team in general with the team speed. I don't know about you, Ferman, but it's been a while since I can really sit and watch a Miami game and say, God, that guy has speed. God, that guy just, other than Keyshawn, I must say he surprised me. I didn't even think he was that fast until that kickoff.
He's not. He looked fast because of how bad Bethune's kickoff team was. He's not that fast. He's probably,
is that what it was?
Yeah, Keyshawn, he's okay. He's 4.5, 4.6, somewhere in there. And he could accelerate a little bit if he's. You got to understand. It was like running the 100-yard dash the other day. There's nobody near him. There's nobody close to him on a lot of those returns. But
he was there. Yeah, you're right.
Let's see what it looks like.
My question to you is, and I know people didn't like Swayze, and he had his shortcomings and all that, but don't you agree that it's been a minute since he was here when we had some team speed? I just feel like the team hasn't had speed on both sides of the ball in 10 years.
No doubt. That's called recruiting, man. Got to do a better job of recruiting. Got to do a better job of evaluation. Can't just look at a high school tape and judge somebody's speed. Hopefully with Alonzo Highsmith in the building now and a deeper scouting department and a better evaluation taking place, they won't make as many mistakes in that regard. But there is no question about what you are saying. You are 100% spot on. Speed is an issue for this team.
And my last point I want to bring up, the ends, the defensive ends. What do you think about these ends, man? It was Bethune, so I just figured we would have, some crazy sack numbers, pad the stats for the year. I just didn't see that. What about you?
I think Messidor is unbelievable. I think that he is going to be a great player this year and have a great season. Harvey, he's been hyped up a lot. There's no question he's better than what he's been. But, is he going to suddenly be a difference maker out there? I don't know. I think Messidor and Agude are the two that you got to really, really look at. I don't know if Nigel E. Kelly can, he's a true freshman. That's asking a lot for him to be far enough along this year, but he certainly has the physical ability and is going to be very good down the road. Cyrus Moss is just way too skinny, but I think those two guys, if they
guys on the board there about Moss.
Yeah, I think if those two guys, those two transfers stay healthy, I think they'll show you a lot this year.
All right, Ferman. All right, man. Well, I'll try to catch you earlier next week, man.
Yeah, no sweat, man.
So
thanks for calling in, T-Dog. Good to hear from you. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. Hit 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let's go to the 727. You are live on CaneSport Live.
Hey, Gary, it's Jake from St. Pete. How you doing today?
What's going on, Jake? How you doing this week?
Doing good. Recovering from a long weekend. That was a hot game. That I got seats out in the sun there, and oh boy, is that a scorcher. So it was a fun game, though. Can't complain. We took care of business. Hey, one of the things I was just thinking to myself, everyone's really hot and bothered about Corey Flagg and DJ Ivy. One thing I was thinking is, both of them are veteran guys. They've been with the program here for a while. To me, is it something where, the coaches are throwing those guys out there, seeing, hey, what's the max we can get out of these guys? What do they got? But at the same time, you've got more talented guys behind them. To Corey Couch, who else? Caleb Johnson, what have you. And these two games, we're going to blow out the opponent. There's no question about it. The balance of the game doesn't hang in the line. So two things to me is that you've got kind of a psychological angle where you're pushing the guys behind them who probably have more talent to learn the plays better, execute better, all the while seeing what you've got with, the two more veteran guys. But then on top of that, you're also giving a little bit less footage to Texas A&M and kind of throwing a little wrench in their game planning, not knowing exactly who's going to be out there. I was just curious what your thoughts are on that.
There might be a little gamesmanship taking place, but it's hard to say because Mario Cristobal believes so strongly that guys have to earn their status on the team and that you don't play somebody who has not earned it because that has a trickle-down effect throughout the roster. And I think that's one of his, philosophies as a head coach.
What I'm getting at is that, Flag and Ivy, from all accounts, have been busting ass in camp and getting it done. So you're kind of rewarding them when there's no consequence to giving them extra burn. And then you're also kind of pushing the guys behind them to work even harder, to put in even more effort to supplant them. And, in the meantime, there's no consequence to doing that. I don't know, just a thought.
I listen, I would have no problem agreeing with you on that. That could be some of what's at play. No, I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Yep. Hey, one thing I wanted to ask, being at that game, man, that quarterback they had, boy, was he fast. Do you think that's the fastest quarterback we're playing all year?
I would be lying to you if I've evaluated the speed of every quarterback of every opponent. I agree with you. He was very athletic, very fast, and he did give them problems. But I honestly, Jake, I don't have an answer for you on that one. I have not done that kind of evaluation.
Yeah, that scared me a little bit. I don't think that, I watched some of that Texas A&M game. I don't think that, a kid's got a little speed, but not like the guy we played. I don't think we really game planned for that either. You could tell that, they're just, the defensive ends, there wasn't any contain on that, that 3rd and 23, that kind of boiled my blood because that brought me back to some Manny Diaz trauma, but, it was just one of those things where I don't think they really put one iota game plan into this other than, maybe checking out a little bit of film on these guys, but I don't, you could tell that they were just going straight vanilla in that game, start to finish. And, it'll be interesting to see how they are this week if they got a little more game plan going too.
Yep. You got anything else, Jake?
Well, anyway, that's it for me. Yeah, no, I just wanted to chime in. I was just thinking about those things, and then we'll see. Should be another. Hopefully, find out a little bit more about this team. See if they can correct some of the mistakes this Saturday and get this thing looking good heading into week 3. So.
All right, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Yep. Sounds good. Talk to you then.
All right, guys. Last call for phone calls for tonight. We're at that 2-hour magic mark here. I'll keep the show going for a little bit longer if anybody else wants to get in real quick. 563-999-3550, 563-999-3550. You hit the 1 on your keypad if you want to come on the show. Let me finish off here on these YouTube comments. A lot of sparring going on with Norman Smith and CD Wright about the whole resources, Manny Diaz, Mario Cristobal thing. Fuke off wants to know thoughts on Michael Redding's. He calls it insurgence. I think he means emergence. I think it's great, man. Michael Redding was a recruit out of IMG that people thought was going to be pretty good, but an example probably of the evaluation issue that I was talking about a few minutes ago. Does not have great speed. Is never going to have great speed. But it was nice to see him get involved, catch the ball, and there's going to be a lot of games this year where he will be good enough to make a contribution, and hopefully he's able to do that. Uncle Bill is predicting a Texas A&M going down in week 3. I think a lot of people would love to see that. Manuel Soto, man, is anticipating Frank Gore Jr. breaking 200 yards. Man, I don't know, man. The run defense was pretty good last week. I would not predict, and this is a running team. They'll be ready for the running game. I'm not predicting any 200-yard rushing outings there for Frank Gore Jr. I got to weed through this Christopher Wright, Norman Smith fight to look for some more, if there's any more thoughts. Let me see. Everyone wants to know where Ross is. I agree. I think Ross doesn't realize the show started yet because he hasn't missed too many Tuesdays over many, many, many years. So hopefully we'll get Ross back here pretty soon. All right. So anyway, let me touch on the topics that were submitted on the message boards at CaneSport.com by our subscribers. Let's see. Reaction to the performance of the defense, potential issues defending mobile quarterbacks. Absolutely a legit concern. No question about it. It was exposed a little bit by Bethune-Cookman. I mean, it absolutely was. And listen, they're working hard on that in practice this week. I can tell you guys that for absolute certainty. We'll see how it goes. God, man, I'm losing my voice here. All right, so let's move on. Give me a second, take a drink. I'm literally losing my voice. All right. If the coaches are trying to build the confidence of the receivers, why didn't they get them more involved in the BC game? Reason for that was they don't want to show the passing game. I mean, it's that simple. They do not want to. They are going to roll it out against Texas A&M, and you might see a little bit more this week, but I don't think you're going to see a lot more. I think that they've worked hard on it in practice, very hard on it in practice, and I think you'll see a true rollout of Josh Gaddis's passing game at Miami in College Station in 11 days. They've built all the confidence that they need on the practice field. They don't have to build confidence against Bethune-Cookman. That's artificial confidence, to be honest with you. Does Mario have a staff looking ahead at opponents? Absolutely. There's GAs in there, other staffers that are breaking down tape on opponents, doing deep scouting reports. They do a lot of it in the offseason as well. There is no question about it that Mario has a team inside the building doing advanced scouting on opponents. They are not just taking it one game at a time. After week 1, has the opinion of beating Texas A&M or Clemson changed? No. I listen, those are tough games. Clemson on the road's tough. Texas A&M on the road's tough. If they split those games, it's a win. Okay, if they can win one of the two, they're doing well. I don't think anybody is going to sit here and say this team's going undefeated this year. So you got to win all the games you should win, not let down in any of those. If you could split Texas A&M and Clemson, Mario's coach of the year probably in college football. That would be an 11-1 season. You'd be right on the fringe of the playoff, or depending on how you might do in the ACC title game. I mean that'd be pretty darn good. Will they roll out a similar vanilla game plan? against Southern Miss, yeah, I would expect it to be pretty vanilla if the game goes well. I do think there will be more on the play sheet this week, just in case. Bethune-Cookman, I mean, you saw they scored 70 points. They knew going in that there was just such a personnel disparity. This team will have better personnel than Bethune-Cookman. I think there will be more options on the play sheet. Whether they need them or not remains to be seen. All right. I think that's going to do it for CaneSport Live for this week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on this Tuesday night. Tomorrow night, we've got the Lamar Thomas Show. Special guests will be Darren Crine, Kelvin Harris. Good Morning CaneSport tomorrow morning, obviously, and every morning. If you like this show, hit your like button, hit your subscribe button here on YouTube. It helps us with YouTube and with the algorithms. If you're not yet a CaneSport.com subscriber, let me put that information up on our screen here for a minute. We moved our site from the Rivals Network to the On3 Network. Part of the deal that we negotiated when we moved was that the entire fan base can be a subscriber to our site for their first year for $1. Okay, that was one of the conditions of the move. Otherwise, we weren't moving. And so you got the $1 introductory special to come join us. We're on the On3 Network now. We think we have a lot of really good content every day. We got a great community, a lot of people that call in and listen to the show. Please join us if you haven't yet. Your first year will be $1. Hopefully, obviously, we hope you'll stick around after that. Subscriptions make every single thing that we do every day possible, allows us to keep expanding our staff. We added a nice young man by the name of Azubi Charles this year. We're going to be hiring another totally recruiting, dedicated writer here in the near future. And all that's made possible by you guys and your subscriptions. So we thank you wholeheartedly for your support. And if you're not with us yet, we hope you'll join us. That's going to do it for today. Thank you for being part of the show. We'll see you next week. We'll see you tomorrow with Lamar. And we'll see you in the morning with Good Morning CaneSport and all the other stuff that we do every single day. Goodbye, everybody.